Making Moves in the Marketplace is a program dedicated to providing a forum for elite social entrepreneurs doing significant acts of good for our world by impacting their own sphere of influence. These unique individuals are following their calling and encouraging success, and not just for themselves. Listen to these interviews and be inspired, as well as obtain contact information so you can get firsthand advice. So let's meet our guests on Making Moves in the Marketplace.
On behalf of Making Moves in the Marketplace, this is Ed Bracey, founder and CEO of Synergy of Empowered Women. And today I have an exclusive special guest with me. I have Rachel Gilmore. How are you doing today, Rachel?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for having me here, Ed.
Super. Well, we're going to go ahead and just dive right into the interview. And the first thing I'd like to ask you is tell us a little bit about you and what you do, and then we'll talk about what you do in specific.
Awesome. Thank you. What I do is I work with small business owners and entrepreneurs, and I do this in a variety of different ways. And the main way is really coaching with them, or if you will, guiding them to their inner true self, the self that is in alignment with their calling. So I like to say that I work with conscious entrepreneurs, conscious business owner, people who are here and they have a knowing in their heart, deep down in their soul, that they're here to serve humanity, to give back to humanity, to heal humanity, to love humanity in some way through business or through life, or both of them. Because I believe so many of us entrepreneurs, our business, the thing that we do is who we are. There's no separation between who we are as individuals and what we're doing in the world. It's like we came into this world with this calling, with this purpose, and we're just simply bringing it to the world, right? We're simply bringing it to life. And it requires us to have a certain mindset. It requires to have a certain set of disciplines to honor ourselves so that we can become this vessel, that very thing which is trying to manifest in the world to help serve humanity. We have to become that vessel that can house that can bring it to the light. And so what I help people do is prepare themselves mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, to where they can be that vessel that brings this calling into the world more powerfully than anybody else could. Does that make sense?
It does. And I wanted to ask you, having now described that, do you find that your group or your tribe represents a certain gender, a certain age group? Are you all over the place? How does that work?
Well, quite honestly, it is men and women, and it's young, to middle-aged, higher. Initially, I thought that I was going to be working primarily with millennials because millennials seem to have a little bit of a different thought process when it comes to the way things are done. They're a little bit more open-minded in the fact that they're open to facing their fears in such a way that they'll just start a business and they just go all in. Older people, in my experience, and this isn't a judgment, this is just based on my experience, that they have a little bit more of fear, like, what if it works? What if I fail? I have a family to provide for, I have a job I have to keep, I have to be responsible. And so they're a little less likely to jump all in and go all in. And yet many of them have this desire, they have this passion, they have this fire in their belly that says, I'm here to make some impact in this world, to start some business, to do this thing. And if I can just help them understand that vision, that calling, that dream that's been placed on their heart was placed on their heart by God. And if He gave them that vision and that dream, then He will also give them everything they need to bring that dream into reality. So my job is peeling back the layers of the not true self, if you will, the self that says, what if? The self that says I'm not good enough, the self that says I'm fear, and get them to that core of their self that is unconditional love, that says, yes, I have the belief system that this is what I've been called to do, and step out in faith and do that thing. So in my group, specifically my membership group, I have several millennials and I have several middle-aged people, and they range from men to women. So I think it's anybody who wants to take that next step in life and business.
Dealing with both ends of the spectrum, do you find it that older people may have more of a reticence towards moving initially into something, even though they have the experience. Do you find that that is a huge contrast, that as opposed to be something that should encourage them to move forward?
Well, what I know to be true is that everybody has a set of conditions, if you will, based on past experiences. So what I find in those situations, that it may have been a very small situation, but that a situation has conditioned them to believe that it maybe won't work the way they want it to, or that there's going to be failure, or, there's some fear there that stops them. And many of them don't even have the awareness of the thing that has conditioned them to believe that it's not possible for them. That's part of my job too, is asking the questions to bring to the awareness. Oh, you mean that situation, that little situation where I was perceived as being rejected? Maybe that was just a redirection, right?
Right.
There's so many things people like, I failed in this, or I thought of that, or I didn't get this thing I went after. And so those, now they believe that the next thing they're going to do is going to have the same response. That's the beauty of our mind. It's powerful in the fact that it creates habits, but some of those habits don't serve us. And if you're not aware of which habits are serving you and which are not, then you're going to stay stuck exactly where you are. So that's where having a coach or a guide or somebody who can come in and see what you can't see and be like, it's just like on the football field, right? They have a coach for a reason. In life, we need coaches, guides, mentors to help us see that thing that we don't see, because that simple brought to your awareness, oh, that's why I think this way. There's healing in that instant, in that second that it's brought to the awareness, the healing has happened. Because now once you see it, now once you know the thing, you have the awareness of the thought process that's holding you back, then now you are empowered to make a different choice. When you don't know what's holding you back, you don't get to choose. You're just living by default. So it's really important that once that comes to your awareness, you're like, now I'm in charge. Now I can let my mind keep running with that thought. Or every time I have that thought, I can say, oh, wait a minute, that's not a true thought. That's not reality. That was my simple perception of what happened. Instead, I choose to think this way. And you have to do that over and over and over again every day until the new thought becomes more ingrained in your subconscious mind and in your neural pathways in your brain than the old thought. And that's how you change.
Exactly. You know what? You brought up a couple of very wise points in what you just said. So I'm going to ask you what I consider a question a sage might ask you. Okay. You've already identified that there's some type of ingrained or something within us that's either holding us back or preventing us or stalling us from moving forward. And you work towards identifying that and then helping that person getting beyond that point. Am I doing well so far?
Yes.
Okay. This is my question. Why are you motivated to help someone through this process?
Thank you so much for asking this question. Ed, I grew up in a family of 9 children, and we didn't have much. My dad was in the military, and we lived paycheck to paycheck. We lived, I wore a lot of hand-me-downs. My dad was controlling. There was some abuse that was taking place within the family, and I left home with one focus: to be successful. And in the obtaining of that success, I lost myself. I became very successful. I had the big house, the property, multiple businesses, the vacations, the car. I had it all, right? And I was so unhappy. I was so unfulfilled. I thought that success would make me good enough, and it didn't. It just made me even more miserable. There was no fulfillment in the success. So when I hit a brick wall and my health took a turn and I was forced to close my business and my marriage failed, we sold our home, and here I am starting my life over again. And I've had the opportunity to spend the last 4 years really diving deep into healing myself, into peeling back those layers of my not true self so that I can come to a place of who I am and what I'm really here to do. I'm here to serve people and serve humanity and help heal. And I first had to heal myself. And healing is one of those words that a lot of people don't like to think that they need healed. So I'm using that word for myself, because what I know to be true for me is that I had to heal myself. I had to heal my belief system. I had to heal my body. I had to heal my soul. I had to heal from past traumas and events. And so even though I had attained that level of success, there was no fulfillment, there was no peace, there was no freedom. And so today, here I am, I'm doing the work that I'm called to do, and I'm so fulfilled. And I have freedom in my life to express myself, to be myself, and not doing it because I'm trying to prove to anybody else what I'm capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the judgment is gone, the judgment of myself, the perceived judgment from other people. It's like I've learned that I'm good enough. I don't need to have success to prove that I'm good enough anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at people and I think I have an obligation, because I've done this work myself, to teach other people how to do this work, how
Sure.
to move from potentially having success, but having no relationship, to having not good health or no fulfillment or no freedom. And my life is, oh my goodness, Ed, I love my life. I have amazing relationships. My health is improving every day. I love the work that I get to do. It's so fulfilling for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's really why I do what I do. I've been through it. I've been in the deep, dark woods, scared to death. You know, when I had that moment where I decided to close my business and my ex and I separated and ultimately divorced, and I had 3 daughters to take care of, and I had nothing. There's fear there. And the only thing I could do would be to go to work on changing that. And that's exactly what I've done. So I feel like that if somebody else is in the middle of the woods right now, in that deep, dark place, they're scared, I can really go in there and say, I not only can give you the map to get out, but I'll take your hand and guide you out. Let's do this together. What is it that you want to accomplish in your life? And I want you to know that anything is possible.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Seeing as you've journeyed from one end of the spectrum to the other, and you said that you've connected with your real purpose and who you really are, how does this all align with your core beliefs?
Well, so it's like I mentioned when we began this call, was that this is who I am. Like, I don't put on a different face to coach my clients.
Mm-hmm.
I don't put on a different face when I get up and speak in front of a crowd of people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't put on a different face when I'm writing my book.
Mm-hmm.
I am who I am. And so one of the things that was really powerful for me to learn to do was to love myself, but in loving myself to required me to release judgment. And then I started noticing when I was judging others. So I had to release judgment of others. And what I discovered is we really have the capacity to love all people in all situations if we first learn to love ourselves, because we're not perfect. And if we can love ourselves in that imperfectness, then we can have compassion and empathy for the people who are imperfect and love them exactly the way they are. So I went through this period of, teaching my daughters and teaching myself at the same time how to recognize when I'm not loving all people in all situations, and how to love all people in all situations. And that's one of those values that I hold really dear to myself. And then faith. I have faith, and faith is a strong value for me, because if I didn't have faith that I'm doing the thing that I'm called to do, I would have given up and quit many times along the way. Because being an entrepreneur and doing this work, it's not always rainbows and bubbles, right? It's like we are met with pain, we're met with challenges, we're met with rejection perceived, we're met with all of these things, right? And there's times you're like, oh my gosh, I could just go get a job or something, which I'm not going to do because I'm not made. That's not, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think that it's just me being in alignment with my core values and holding those in front of me. And so in the moments where you feel out of alignment, you can go back to your values and say, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is what I've been called to do. And I'm having the faith that everything, the resources, the people, the situations, the opportunities, the doors, they're all going to come to me in the exact perfect timing. The only thing I need to do is stay focused on me becoming the greatest version of myself, so that when those opportunities do arise, I can step up to the occasion knowing that I'm ready, because I've been working on myself even when those opportunities weren't here. Mm-hmm. So many people wait until the opportunities arise to start working on themselves, and you can't. You've got to prepare in the moments of silence and stillness, and when the phone's not ringing and the clients aren't there, you still have got to do the work, because they are coming. I promise you that they are coming. If we give up and we stop doing the work, then it's just going to take you a whole lot longer.
Sure. Without mentioning any names or specific situations, would you share with us one or two of your greatest victories?
Sure. The most recent thing I can share with you is this book that I had the opportunity to co-author.
Mm-hmm.
It's been published and it is now an international bestseller. And I have a single chapter in the book. And I've had the opportunity to do two of those books, two very powerful women leaders around the world. And the reason those are powerful accomplishments for me is because growing up, I didn't do very well in school. I didn't do very well in English class. My punctuation and spelling and grammar was not always the best. So I never in a million years imagined myself writing a chapter in any book.
You know what you just said are the very same words that Grant Cardone said in a meeting I was in last month.
Really?
Absolutely. The very same way you said it.
Well, looky there. So here's the thing, this is the beautiful part of this is when I received the books just last week and I held the book in my hand, I teared up and I got super emotional. My heart was beating really fast and I was almost scared to read my chapter. And what I knew in that moment is it's safe, Rachel. Like it's safe to be vulnerable. It's safe to put yourself out there. It's safe to just let people see you who you are. Like it's okay. But what I know is I've done, years of work on this and the fear still pops up. And the fear is never going to stop popping up. The thing is that I could have let that paralyze me, or I could have said, I'm going to face it anyways. I'm going to be courageous and brave, and I'm going to write this book, regardless if people think that it's poorly written or whatever anybody thinks, it doesn't matter. And so I wrote the chapter in the book, and I sat here and read it the other day, and I sobbed my eyes out, because this is one of those doors where I was preparing myself, and I didn't know what door was going to open. I didn't know what opportunities can present itself to me. And the day that Nella called me and said, I want you to participate in this book with other powerful women leaders, the first thought that came to my mind is me. But I had been doing the work and I was ready to do it. And so when that door opened, I made the call to walk through it. And I'm so grateful that I did. And so I'm proud of that. I'm proud of me facing my fears and doing that. And I'm proud to say now I've co-authored 2 books. And so that for me is something I never thought would happen.
That's great. On the other end of the spectrum, let's talk about greatest challenge, most formidable challenge. What is that one thing that you have just really had to push through, over, around, bust up? What's that?
Well, there's been so many of those. So again, because my life and my business are kind of one and the same, 2 years ago, I lost my brother and I did nothing in my business for about 4 solid months. Absolutely nothing. I let all my clients go. Like I did nothing. I was kind of paralyzed. And what I know in those moments of stillness and allowing myself to mourn in that way ended up being one of my beautiful, life-changing months, because that's when I realized that my brother was passing on the baton to me to continue loving people. And so that was a moment in time where I basically let my business go and didn't have any income coming in from my business. And I had to start over from scratch after that. So it's really been in like the last year and a half that I've kind of been pushing hard on my business. And during that time, I've moved states. My daughters, who I shared custody with my ex with, decided to go to school about 2 hours away where their dad lives. Massive adjustment for me. And so I've actually had a lot of challenges in my personal life that have come up that I've had to face and say, okay, what is the lesson in this for me? What is this teaching me? How is this going to help me be a better healer, leader, coach, mentor? How is this going to help me? And I see more and more evidence of that happening every day. And I think the biggest thing is that in the midst of the storm, if you can remain a lighthouse, then you'll win every single time. And so no matter what challenges come my way, no matter how big they may be perceived, the thing that I know is that they're happening for me and not to me. They're happening for me. And there is a lesson that's going to propel me forward with such momentum. So I'm just going to remain the energy of love. I'm just going to stay grateful that this is happening for me. And that's a very hard thing to do. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. And so something may happen. I hit the floor for an hour feeling sorry for myself. And then I get up and I say, this is happening for me. And it empowers me to move forward. So there's been a lot of challenges happening in my life, but each one of them have taught me a very valuable lesson that actually have helped me tremendously on this journey. And the biggest thing is it doesn't matter what's happening. The world could be falling down around you. And if you can maintain a light, like if you can be love and light in the midst of the deepest, darkest storms, then you're going to win no matter what. I think that's like the key to everything, right? It's just remaining light, remaining positive, remaining true to your true inner self of love, and no matter what's happening around you.
That's great. That's absolutely great. I have one more question I want to ask you. What do you perceive your future vision to be? Do you perceive expanding in certain areas? Do you conceive co-partnering or co-venturing with others? What do you perceive?
So I definitely see collaborating with other like-minded, like-hearted leaders in this industry. My heart really feels a pull towards doing events and speaking to maybe corporations, maybe speaking to groups of small business owners and entrepreneurs. I am working on a book right now, so we'll see. I don't have a date for that to be finished. It's supposed to be January. I really see doing a lot of giving back. So one of the things that I'm starting right now is a nonprofit. I really want to serve humanity. And I see it's called Love Leaders Tribe. And right now we're just a group on Facebook, but I see Love Leaders Tribe being a group of tribal leaders around the globe that also want to serve humanity and give back to humanity. So coaching is something that I love, that I'm very passionate about doing, and I don't see that coming to an end anytime in the near future. But I definitely do see collaborating with other leaders to do events, to do more speaking, and to really give back in a powerful way through the nonprofit organization.
Okay. So if somebody wants to get in contact with you, how could they do that?
Well, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, it's Rachel Marie Gilmore. I'm on Twitter, is R Gilmore CPT, and my website is rachel-gilmore.com, rachel-gilmore.com, which has all of my social media links. So that would probably be the best place for people to find me.
Okay. And that was going to be my next question. If someone wanted to set up an appointment to do an initial contact with you to determine if they could become a client of yours, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Yeah, I would definitely go to my website, and I'll add this. I just added this in the last couple of days. So this is the first time I'm announcing it for you and for your listeners. If you go to rachel-gilmore.com and you go to my contact page and you put in your email address, you will actually receive a free PDF copy of this book that I just co-authored that is now an international bestseller. So if you want to read that and get it free, you'll get a PDF. All you got to do is go to my website on the contact page, put in your email, and you can put in a little note and said, I would love to schedule a meeting with you, and I'll be in touch with you. And I do free consultations to talk with someone and see if we're a good fit, because I believe it's really important, if I'm going to work with someone, that we are a good fit for each other.
Great. That is super. All right. I must say this has been one of the most insightful and open interviews I've ever done. And
I love it.
I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
You can count on me for being open.
Is there anything else you'd like to add before we sign off here?
I think you're amazing. Thank you for this opportunity. And I want whoever's listening to know that no matter what your past looks like, no matter what your current situation looks like, you have a heart that is beating for a very specific purpose. And you can do anything. If you have a vision or a dream in your heart, you can bring it to reality. And it's possible, and I'm here to help you if you want me to help you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ed.
On behalf of Making Moves in the Marketplace, this is Ed Bracey signing off. And Making Major Moves in the Marketplace is a product of synergyofempoweredwomen.com. Thank you for listening, and we'll get together again soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us today for Making Moves in the Marketplace. Making Moves in the Marketplace is a production of Synergy of Empowered Women, an organization that provides a platform for donors, volunteers, and advocates committed to helping women achieve their greatest potential. We look forward to our next informative broadcast where we interview social entrepreneurs making moves in the marketplace.